Good evening and welcome to Love Angels Light TV. Tonight I'm welcoming Natalie from Nourished Essence to come and talk to us about human design. How are you, Natalie?
I'm great. How are you? I'm so excited to be
I'm good,
here.
thank you. It feels really weird calling you Natalie. It's almost like you're in trouble.
Call me Nat. Totally call me Nat. That's fine.
I think I've only ever called you Nat, and so having it as a full name, it's like, oh, this feels weird.
Yeah, that was my something serious name. So yeah, call me Nat. That's fine.
Awesome. All right, so tell me a little bit about what is human design and how did you get into it?
Okay, so I was introduced to human design from a good friend of mine. She offered me a reading. I'd never heard of it, but I love anything that tells you more about yourself. Like I'm on a journey of self-discovery, so it sounded appealing and intriguing. So I said, hey, sure, I'd love to know more. But what it is essentially is a combination of a bunch of different modalities. So we use Eastern and Western astrology. We use the Chinese I Ching system. We use the Kabbalah, the Hindu chakra system, and quantum physics. And then what we do is we use your birth data, so your date, time, and place of birth to give you what is essentially like your energetic blueprint, your human design chart. And that shows you all about how your energy works, and it shows you how you're meant to make decisions, how you're meant to use your energy, how you're meant to create opportunities for yourself, and so much more. And once I got my reading and heard all about myself, it was like, oh, this is why I am the way I am. And it was just like this light bulb moment. And then I had to know what everyone in my life was. And then I went down the rabbit hole and I've been down it ever since.
Love it. So what excites you most about doing human design readings?
Well, I think I love helping people reconnect to their magic. So a lot of the time, like in human design, everything shows you that you were designed to be exactly the way you are. Like you're perfect the way you are. Every part of you is on purpose. So it's basically, I love helping people see the things that they don't like about themselves are actually their superpowers. So turning their flaws into their superpowers. And then just like giving them permission to be themselves. Like there's nothing more freeing or liberating than being yourself, really.
100%. So, okay, guys, if you have questions about human design, pop them in the comments and we'll go through and ask Nat all the questions because she knows more than I do. I don't have the screen width now.
Well, I'll give you an example. So it's like, for example, I thought that I was indecisive and that I couldn't make a decision to save my life. And I always blamed it on being a Libra because that star sign is associated with, always being on the fence. And so someone would be like, oh, what do you want for dinner? I'd be like, I don't know, you choose. And I would find decision making really hard. But in human design, everyone has like their inbuilt decision-making superpower. And once you tap into that and you know how to use it, making decisions becomes so much easier. So I wasn't indecisive. I was just being asked the wrong question. And I was using my mind instead of my body to answer these questions. So human design is all about tapping into your body's wisdom. It's very body-based. So the mind definitely plays a part of it, but it's about tapping into like that innate intelligence that we have inside us and trusting ourselves. Because our mind is always going to say, oh, these are all the reasons why you shouldn't do something. And it's going to come in with all the logic, whereas our body is going to tell us, for some people in the moment, for some people it might take a couple of days, for some people it might take a month to make big decisions. So we are all different. But you can trust that what your body is saying, if you respond to that and you use that to make decisions, you can trust that that's going to lead you to the right path and it's going to be a decision that is correct for you. So that's been like a game changer for me personally. And everyone who I do a reading for, it's always such a big sigh of relief to go, oh, this is how I make decisions. And a lot of the time we've been doing it the complete opposite to the way that we were designed. And that's why we're coming up against roadblocks. That's why things can feel hard and we've got a lot of resistance happening. So when you use human design and you start to experiment with it, life just seems a lot easier because you're using your energy in the way that it was meant to, and things flow so much nicer.
Awesome. What do you know about, like, where did human design come from?
Oh, it's a really interesting story. So there was a man, Ra, who he essentially had a download, like he was in Ibiza and he was just living his normal life, and he got the entire system downloaded to him over the course of, I think, 8 or 9 days. So, and
Wow.
and it's a very scientific system. So when you see like your chart, I'll just hold Eileen's up. Can you see that? It's quite like intricate. So, and it combines all these different modalities. So, when some people are open to that and some people aren't, but it's very, very layered and detailed. So however it came about, it's amazing. I love it.
It is amazing. Your chart looks a bit like my chart because it is, but mine's got writing all over it.
Yes. Yeah, so how about we have a look at the body graph? Does anyone have any questions? Like, love to.
As we go through, guys, if you have questions about human design, about any of this stuff, ask away and we'll come back to them. But here's my chart.
Yeah, let me just.
We haven't chatted about this yet, so this is cool.
No. So in human design, let me get it. It's essentially, there's lots of different components, but it's all about how your energy is flowing. So you can see that there's all these centers, these shapes, they're the 9 centers. So the Hindu chakra system is based on 7. In human design, there is 9. And everything is all about how the energy is flowing to the centers. And whether you have your centers colored in or not means whether that's consistent energy for you. So it can really tell you so much about yourself and how your energy works. But there's really 3 main things that you need to know to get started with human design, which is your energy type, your strategy, and your authority. So because Eileen has the sacral center, this one here, colored in, that means it's defined, which means that she is a generator. Okay, so there's 5 energy types. So we've got generator, we have a manifesting generator, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. And what this shows us is that we're all designed to use our energy in such different ways. So Eileen is a generator and so am I. So we have the same energy type. And actually about 65% of people are either generators or manifesting generators. So the world is kind of designed for us generators because we are the people who, when we're tapping into what we love, when we are feeling lit up by life and what we're doing, we can tap into that sacral center, which is the center of life force energy and creativity. And we can tap into that and then we can kind of, access that seemingly inexhaustible supply of energy, but only if we're feeling lit up by what we're doing. So the world is kind of designed for people to work long hours and be the workers and the builders. And that's what the generators are here to do. We're here to use our energy in that way, but we can only access it if we're doing something that we're passionate about. So as a generator, your life purpose essentially is to love your life, to be excited by what you're doing, to follow your desires and your passions. But we live in a world that says, hey, you should do things for everyone else, put yourself last, and it's selfish to follow your dreams. So that's where a lot of generators can get tripped up, and then they can find themselves doing things that they're not passionate about, and then that can really deplete their energy. And so then they'll feel drained and they'll feel exhausted, and they might hear that they're a generator and they'll say, well, I don't resonate with that because I've got no energy. So what human design shows us is that actually, if you make a few little changes and you start doing things that excite you, your energy will change. And like, it's pretty common sense. If you do something you love, you'll be more excited by life and you'll have more energy. But it's just really about being mindful about that. And then as a generator, you're also here to respond to life. So you don't need to go out and make all the things happen. Life comes to you, and then you respond to everything that's coming to you moment to moment. And then you use your authorities to say, yeah, is this a yes for me or is this a no for me? So that's how a generator works. Did you have any questions on that, Eileen?
No, that bit I knew about, but I do have a question from Dika. If I can go back to her. Where'd her comment go? It's gone. It's my brain that's gone. Do you refuel? Here's a question. I'll go there first.
Oh, do you
refuel?
A generator is designed to use up their energy every day, go to bed like pretty exhausted. When they sleep, they recharge their energy, and then they wake up able to access that again. But in saying that, wherever you are defined, you are constantly impacting other people with your energy. But I would say the way to refuel as a generator is to really just follow your curiosity and your excitement and your passions. And that is going to recharge you way more than being with another generator.
Definitely. I found Dika's question. So she's got split definition, manifesting generator. So what does that mean?
The definition is about how the energy is flowing in your chart. And so if you're a single definition, this kind of shows you how you best work, like whether you best work alone or collaboration or in teams. So as a split definition, collaboration feels really good to you, because just the way your energy goes in your chart, when you're around other people, that energy can work really well together. Whereas people who have a single definition, they might prefer to work alone. So it more shows you like how you like to collaborate with others. But there's other areas in your chart as well that will might contribute to that information. It's very layered. Hope that answers.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. I think that's all the questions I have right now. Well, I did put it into where I got my chart from.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, awesome. So
their own chart.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, let us know what you are in the comments. We'd love to know.
Yes.
So another type is projectors. So projectors don't have their sacral defined, which means that they don't have access to that consistent energy that generators have. And their role is more to be the guides and the leaders of this world, because they see things from their very unique perspective. So rather than doing all the things, they're more here to see and guide everyone else and how they use their energy. So they're kind of like taking that bird's eye view of the world and going, oh, this would work really well if we did it this way. But their strategy is to wait for the invitation. So as a projector, they've got all this wisdom to share, but if they share it to people without being invited first, it can come across as unsolicited advice, and then they can end up feeling bitter and unrecognized and misunderstood. So if they know as a projector But first, they need someone to recognize their gifts and recognize the value that they have to offer. And then they're invited in to share. Then they're not going to feel like they're forcing things. They're not going to feel like they're pushing things. And things will flow so much more smoother for them. So you can see how just like knowing these things, you can kind of look back in your life and go, if you're a projector, where was there a time where I wasn't invited in and then I tried to push, and how did that play out? And a lot of the time you'll go, okay, well, that didn't work for me. But the times that someone asked me to share and then I came in, then that would have been a much better outcome. So once you start making those tweaks, life just changes because you're living more in line with your energy. And when you're living in line with your energy, you're aligning to your design, that's when you become magnetic, and that's when you start actually like attracting all these opportunities to you. It's like the G center is like this monopole in the center, and it's like attracting all these things to you. But if your energy is a little bit murky, then it's not attracting the right things into your life. So this is a way that you can really just start using your energy in a way that's going to feel so good for you as well, but it's also going to just start pulling all these magical things to you. And so if you're a generator or a projector and you're like, oh, I don't want to wait to respond, I don't want to wait for the invitation, if you're in alignment, you won't be waiting, because these things will be coming to you, but you just need to make sure you're using your energy in the right way. So as a projector, because they are a non-energy being, rest is really important to them. That's how they recharge. If they're around a generator all the time in this sacral energy, they're taking it on through their open centers, but it will come a point where it's too much and they might not know when enough is enough, and then they're going to become burnt out and depleted as well. So for projectors, alone time is really important, having a grounding practice to empty out their energy, whether it's just meditating or using essential oils or grounding in the earth, all these kind of things to bring them back to their own center and draw their own energy back into their body and let go of anything that isn't theirs. So all of the types are impacted by each other, but projectors especially just really need to make sure that they're getting that rest and honoring the ebbs and flows of their energy, because they can get a lot done in a shorter amount of time because their energy is very focused, their aura is very focused. So what they could do in 3 hours is what maybe the rest of us could do in 8, and then they're meant to spend the rest of their time honing their craft and, you know, building up all that wisdom so that they can share it with the rest of us.
Awesome. Awesome. So Lisa wants to know, she doesn't know her time of birth, so how can she find out what she is?
So a lot of the time you might have to put it through a couple of different times per day and see what changes. There's some parts of human design that are like very much to the minute, like the more advanced stuff, but a lot of the time the energy type will remain the same majority of the day, but you just need to kind of go, okay, you might need to put it in like 3 or 4 times over the day and see what changes and go from there. But we can look at it and drill it down.
Awesome. And Michael says, how are we able to find out what our genetic design is? What are the factors?
So if you go to the website that Eileen's put up, you put your date, time, and place of birth. And human design uses like the place that the planets and the energies were at that exact moment of your birth. But it also looks at, so in human design, if you look at Eileen's chart as an example, this side here, the black lines, that's your conscious personality. And that is what happened. That is what was imprinted at your soul's birth. But this side here, the unconscious side, the red side, that was 88 days before you were born. And that's your unconscious personality traits that are kind of handed down from your ancestors and through genetics, and all those kinds of things. And these are the traits that other people most likely see in you, but you might not see in yourself, or they're the things that start to naturally come out as you lean into your design more and more. Whereas the personality side is usually something that you're consciously aware of.
Awesome. I'm not at all taking notes right now.
Yeah. So all of these things here on the side, these are what's called the gates, and every single gate has a planet attached to it. So you can go really deep into the astrology side, or you can focus on the centers. There's so many things to know. But what I would say is to come back to it is just really focusing in the beginning, if you're new to human design, on just your energy type, your strategy, and your authority. They're the first 3 things that you need to start aligning to. And as you do that, the rest of your chart will naturally play out. And then that's when you can start diving deeper into it. So if we look at the other types, like there's the manifestors. They are the ones who are here to do all the initiating. They're the trailblazers. They're the ones who have all the ideas and they birth the creations out into this world, but they don't need to essentially follow it through. It's the rest of the types who will kind of bring that creative process into fruition. And so their strategy is to inform, because for them, they don't need to ask permission for anyone. They just need to go for it. But there might be people in their lives who are impacted. And if they just go a million miles an hour, straight ahead, forging ahead, and don't let anyone know what's going on, then they could experience a lot of resistance. So to make it a lot more smoother and more peaceful, as long as they let everyone know what's happening and they just inform them hey, this is what's going on, then their life will be so much more smoother and things will flow so much better for them. But I find that there's a lot of generators who are trying to initiate and make things happen. There's projectors who are trying to be generators and do, because we're all kind of living in this world where we're all expected to be this one way. But the thing is, we're all uniquely wired to do it so differently. And it's not about putting you in a box. It's not about saying, oh, you're a generator, so you can only do this, or you're a projector, so you can only be a guide. It's more about understanding how your energy works so that you can bring it into everything that you do and so that you can thrive. But you can use it mainly as the ultimate self-awareness tool.
I love it. What I love here is, oh, well, as you were talking about projectors, I thought this is me. And yes, putting my details in, that's what I am.
Oh, really? There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So really important to have that alone time and just remembering that you have this incredible gift of seeing people. Projectors are amazing. Yeah. And then we have reflectors as well, who they are here to mirror back the rest of the world. And they are only 1% of the population. So they're the rare unicorns of the design. So, and they're here to essentially gain all of this wisdom from the environment around them. Yeah. And I think we haven't spoken about manifesting generators as much, so I'll just quickly mention them. So they are they are part of the generator family, but I like to think of them as their own type because they're kind of a hybrid of a manifestor and a generator. So they can access all of that life force energy. They have to do what they love and all of that. But unlike a generator, they can course correct. Because once a generator commits their energy to something, they're in it and they find it really hard to pull back. Where a manifesting generator, they might try something and then go, oh, this isn't for me. And then they'll decide to try something new and again, because they learn things really quickly and then they move on. And then they learn things really quickly and then they move on. And so people from the outside might think, oh, you can't stick to anything or you're always quitting. But actually that's how a manifesting generator is meant to learn. That's what they're designed to do. And they're here to show the world what's possible, like how to do things in new ways. So they're like, you know, a creative powerhouse and a bundle of energy in one. So they're very powerful, but they can run into trouble if people are always kind of trying to say, you know, just stick to one thing. This is what you're meant to do. But they're not, it's not linear for them. So really helpful.
That's awesome. I think my husband's a manifesting generator.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he doesn't like it when I give him multiple options at once.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't end well.
Yeah.
Liz wants to know more about projectors or projection. Liz, what do you want to know?
Yeah. Well, with the projectors, it also depends on your authority as well. So like the decision-making superpower that we were talking about. So you could be a projector who has leading authority, which means that you know in the moment what you want to do and it all comes from your intuition, from your gut feeling. Or you could be a projector with emotional authority, like my husband is. And emotional authority is when you actually don't know in the moment and you need to ride an emotional wave and experience all the highs and the lows of that wave before you come to a place of neutrality and make your decision from that neutral place. So a projector, you know, depending on your authority, that's something to really look into too. So I think the emotional authority is a big one. 50% of the population is emotional authority. So you could be a generator or a manifesting generator with emotional authority, a projector or a manifestor. And if you're someone with, like, say, splenic or sacral authority, and you know in the moment, and you have someone in your life who needs to sleep on it, but you're like going, oh, hey, let's make this decision right now, that is where friction can happen. So understanding not only yourself but other people is so powerful because it allows you to, like, really hold space for them and put up boundaries and all these things. And it really helps your relationships thrive and flourish because you're understanding why you're both so different and why you are the way you are. So I find if you have emotional authority, like, a lot of the time you might have made a decision in the moment and you're like, yes, that sounds incredible. And then you get home and then you're like, what was I thinking? No, I don't want to do that, because you're riding your wave. And so then you've, like, committed to something but you don't want to do it. Whereas if, like, you just know that you don't know in the moment and always ask for time when making a decision, that will be really helpful for you as well. So yeah, I think always when you're looking at being a projector, knowing, like, what centers do you have defined as well, and what your authority. But yeah, if you have something specific that you want to know,
Yes. I reckon if you have something specific that you want to know, book in with you.
Yeah. So I do in-depth readings as well, where we can look at all the chart, because the chart, it also shows you, like, where your innate strengths are, which is really helpful to know, like, you know, this is what I'm good at. For me, what really drew me to human design was it was a time in my life where I had lost my father, then I was pregnant with my second child, and I felt, like, very lost and like I wasn't good at anything. And then when I had my chart, I was like, oh, yeah, it's like just validating all these things that you know deep within that maybe you hadn't admitted to yourself or you couldn't quite see. So it's really powerful to really discover where your superpowers are. And everything in human design, like we're saying, has this high and low expression. So it's showing you where you could potentially be tripped up in life or where you could be subject to conditioning. And in human design, they have something called the not self, which is when you're operating from a place of, like, all this energy coming in from other people, and you're taking on things that might not be yours and holding on to them and thinking that's who you are. So human design shows you where all of that could potentially happen in your personal chart, and then showing you how to come back into alignment and embody the higher expression of that part of yourself. So it's not looking at any part of you that is good or bad, but essentially going, well, you could go this way or you could go that way. Here's how to come back to here, which is really powerful.
Awesome. See, I still look at that chart and go, oh my God, how do you read that thing?
Yeah. So like I said, the 3 most important things are to get started with that. But there's also something that's really cool, which is called your profile. Have you looked at that, Eileen?
Sure. What's the profile? What are we talking about?
So your profile is, so it's like your personality archetype, essentially. So that's like, for me, after your energy type, your strategy and authority.
The profile, that 6/2 bit.
Yeah. So your profile is like your conscious personality and your unconscious personality profile. It's 2 lines of the hexagram coming together, and it really tells you a lot about yourself, but also about like how other people see you. So for example, the first line is a 6. That's your conscious personality. So this is something that you're most likely aware of. And the 6 is known as a role model. So that's someone who's here to be a leader, right? And to share all the things that they've learned, share all their wisdom. And this is broken up into 3 stages of life. So for the first 30 years, you're kind of operating more like a line 3. You're doing all this trial and error, you're bumping into life, you're experimenting with everything. Things might go wrong, but you're always learning from it. You're always cultivating all this wisdom from those experiences. And then as you finish your Saturn return, you step into the second phase, which is where you're more observing your life. You're kind of done with that trial and error. You kind of know what your path is, and you're stepping into that role model, and you're starting to share all that wisdom that you've learned with the world. And then when you hit 50 plus, that's when you're like really stepping into that role model, and everyone's coming to you going like, she's the one who knows all about this. So that's the line 6 profile. Does that resonate with you at all?
Little bit.
Especially, I think that one, the first 30 years thing, a lot of people are like, oh, yeah. There's lots of challenge. Yeah. And then the line 2. A bit. The line 2 is the unconscious personality, and this is what other people see in you. And that profile, that line is, it's known as the hermit, but what it is, it's a little bit more introverted. So you might find that sometimes you just like to like be in your own space and have some alone time. And you can really see people with this as well. Like you've got a special gift that the world needs in this profile, but sometimes you might not have been able to see that gift in yourself, and it takes someone else in your life to have recognized that in you for you to like really step into it and embody it. So that's the line 2. Yeah.
I like being in my own space.
Yeah. And, and once you know that, it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's great. Like, that's how you recharge, essentially. Recharge and refill.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Cool. Mm-hmm. I have so many questions.
Yes.
About all of this. But what I also love is that people are getting their charts right now. Lisa, who asked about the date of birth thing, the time of birth thing, she's put in 000 for the time and has come up a manifesting generator.
Oh, cool.
She's then come. Yeah, Lisa's beautiful. I love Lisa. Her inner authority is sacral.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Have we talked about sacral? So sacral is like from that sacral center, and it's like a gut response, in the moment. And the sacral authority, it can come out in two ways. It can come out in sounds, or it can be more like an energy rising in your gut. So with the sacral, I like to say, this is my personal authority, by the way. So this one is, it's either a hell yes or it's a hell no. So in the moment, if you're feeling that energy rising and it's expansive and it's excited, that's how you know it's a yes. But if it feels like constricted and already you feel exhausted, then it's a no. And you're really asking yourself when you're using your sacral authority, because if you've got sacral authority, then you're a generator or a manifesting generator. You're asking yourself, do I want to commit my energy to this? Yes or no? And so that energy is either excited to do it or it's not. And if you follow that and you trust that, then you're not going to be using your energy in a way that's going to burn you out. You're only going to be using it for things that are making you feel good. And the other way it can come out is through sound. So some people feel really disconnected to their sacral sounds because we've been conditioned to kind of not use these primal sounds that we have. We've been told from a young age, be quiet, don't be too much. So people can feel disconnected from it. But for me, like if I'm excited by something, I know my automatic sound is, ooh, yeah. Or if it's a no, it's like a, no. So it's like either like a or a and you can kind of like, if that sound comes out of you, that's your body giving you that decision before your mind even has a chance to think about it. And that's a decision that you can trust. So it's just getting really familiar about what does it sound like for you and what does it feel like for you. And that is something that you can use moment to moment. So, you know, the emotional authority, you don't really need to sleep on what you want for dinner. But as a sacral authority, you're responding moment to moment. So you can use that for pretty much everything. Like, do I want to eat this for dinner? Yes or no? And the yes-no piece is really important because if you ask a sacral, like, what do you want for dinner? I think we were talking about this before. They can't answer. Like, they feel paralyzed from the decision. But if you say, would you like Thai for dinner? And they're like, no. Then you can go, okay, would you like Italian for dinner? No. Would you like Indian for dinner? Yes. And so you just keep going with the yes or no questions until you hit that yes. And that can be really helpful. You can get someone in your life to like fire off like 10 rapid fire questions and really help you get in tune with your body and your body's response. And then just use that every day and let it be like your little guiding light.
Mm-hmm. If you want to hear sacral sounds, ask your kids a question.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, sometimes I can't remember. I think it's Alex. If you ask Alex to do something that he doesn't want to do, he'll go, ugh.
Yeah. Actually, my 18-month-old, he's a manifesting generator, and my other son's a projector, so I didn't hear it as much. But when he's excited, he's just like, like that, and you can really see that like that is something that he wants to do. So yeah, kids, like, they're not impacted by any kind of conditioning. They're living their design already. Us as parents just need to step out of the way and like let them essentially be themselves. So
Exactly.
it's really powerful to know what your children are, for sure.
Yeah, which leads into the question Rebecca just had. Can I have this done for my kid?
Yes, absolutely. You can pull up their chart straight away and just from this conversation get an understanding of their energy type. Because like if your child is a projector, for example, then you just know that they need a little bit more rest than say a child who's a generator and you're going, why does my kid have so much energy? Because they're a sacral being. So something to keep in mind. And if you're like a generator parent with a projector child, you just need to remember that they're constantly being impacted by your energy. Or you could be a projector or a manifestor and then have a generator child and then being impacted by them. So it's just something to always keep in mind. Like, how is the family dynamics energy playing out? What's their authority like? You know, if they're a generator of sacral authority, asking them yes or no questions. if they've got emotional authority, knowing that they can have this emotional wave and that you can really support them throughout their life with that wave, and to know that it's totally normal that they might feel these really high highs and these low lows, and that's just part of who they are, and actually that's how they access their creativity, and they're here to kind of express themselves and feel deep emotions in that way. So you can really honor them and really help them, I guess, accept themselves and not feel like something's wrong with them, and just like this is how they're designed. So it's really powerful.
Definitely. Definitely. Adika asked, do you have any examples of how human design has significantly improved a client's life?
Clients life? Yeah, I think definitely relationships is a big thing for a lot of people. Like understanding this family dynamic, especially I found if there's a sacral being and a non-sacral being, or an emotional or non-emotional, just understanding how that dynamic plays out can really just help you not make things about yourself and put up boundaries. If you know that you're a certain way, like if you're the person who needs the rest, then really like asking for that alone time, especially if you are, say, a busy mom who doesn't get time to herself. Then like clients are, one of my clients that I did a reading for last week, she's got 3 kids, and so now she's making sure that she's resting every day, and she's feeling so much better because she's just taking that small amount of time every day to rest, but her energy is feeling so much better. Like she's honoring that ebb and flow, and so she's able to show up in a different way. And then there's also like, a lot of people apply this to manifestation, to business. Like there's so many avenues that you can go down. But I also think it's really powerful for the people who feel lost, like they don't know who they are, or there's things about themselves that they don't like, or they feel like they don't have any value. And this can really show people like where their value lies, and just that everyone is unique and everyone is amazing. So there's many, many examples. I hope that helps.
Yeah, for sure. Lisa says my profile is 1 and 3.
Yeah. So Lisa, for you, the profile is probably the thing that might change if you don't have your birth. That's Lisa who didn't have the birth time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the profile changes fairly regularly. But a 1-3. So the line 1 is the investigator. So someone who loves to research and learn, and when they find something they love, they're just going to like dive deep into that and find out all the things. Like researching is their thing. And then the line 3 is like learning through experimentation. So all of that trial and error that we were talking about before, but then that is how they perfect things and make things better, by learning through that trial and error.
That's
Very
awesome.
overview of that.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, the profiles are fascinating. So there's 6 lines, but there's 12 different ways that they can come together. So everyone is a little bit different. And a lot of the time, you'll find that some of your friends have the same profile as you, because that's something that, like, the profiles are drawn together. Whereas the energy types, that's not like who you are, it's how you're using your energy. Whereas your profile is about your personality. It's your style and your way of approaching life. So, yeah, it's a fun one to look into.
Yeah, for sure. I just love that I'm the role model hermit.
Like some of the names in traditional human design, like some of the names are not like you hear them and you're like, oh, okay. And then I think there's a lot of people who've like renamed them as well. So like the 6, I think there's like the wisdom seeker and things like that. But role models still all right.
Still fits.
Yeah. So
I love learning.
Yeah.
If you want a wisdom seeker, I constantly have a course on the go, or a book I'm in the middle of, or it makes sense.
You're cultivating wisdom, but the important thing for you is that you're sharing it. So when you're doing that, you're taking it in, but I think your brain is going, well, how can I like help people with this? How can I like learn this and then turn it into something tangible for other people? So I can take you through the 6 lines if you like. So we've got the line 1, which is the researcher, the line 2, which is, we said the hermit, but just, you know, someone who's more introverted but has incredible gifts to offer. The line 3 is, it's called the martyr, but I like to call it like the experimenter. And then the line 4 is called the opportunist. That's someone who simply like really benefits from having a community around them, because that's how they get their opportunities in life. Like it's about who they know, not what they know. Okay. And then the line 5 is the heretic. So they're like a teacher, a healer, a leader, and a lot of people kind of project onto them because they've got this vibe of like, I'm here to fix all your problems and save the world kind of thing, because they feel like that. But a lot of the time they just need to, that's projector energy, so they just need to make sure that they're being invited in before they go and fix all the things. And then there's the line 6, which is the role model that we talked about. And then they're all combined differently.
That's really cool. I love that Liesel's gone and got, Liesel's gone and got hers as well. Oh, Leslie's got hers as well, apparently.
Oh, so look like, okay, so you are a 2-4 generator. So generator is what we're talking about. So someone who is here to access that life force energy by doing what you love. So also a generator is here to like build and master something. So once they find that thing that they love, they like work on it and they learn everything about it and they become the master of their craft. So as a generator, just make sure that you are really following what excites you in life, following your passions and using your energy in that way. Your inner authority is solar plexus. So that's, you're an emotional generator. So the emotional authority comes from having your solar plexus defined. So that's the decision making that we were talking about, where you need to sleep on it and ride that emotional wave. And just on that, if you have someone in your life who is not an emotional authority, just know that when you're on that emotional wave, because they have an open solar plexus, they're taking your energy in and then they might be amplifying it back to you. So a lot of the time, if there's someone with emotional authority and then someone with like their open solar plexus, they're feeling everything and then they're making it, they think that it's about them. Whereas for you, it's just that's part of your decision-making process. And a lot of the time it can be really helpful to know that you're having these waves constantly. Not even if you're not making a decision, the highs and lows, that's just a part of your life. And like I was saying before, that's how you access your creativity. That's how you ponder things. That's how you're here to experience those deep emotions. And then the 2-4, so that's the line 2 that we're talking about with Eileen. So quite introverted, likes their alone time, and other people can see you very clearly. They can see your special gifts and your potential. So it's really important for you to have the right people around you to help you recognize that gift. And then once you recognize it, then you're stepping into that. And the line 4 is the opportunist. So that means like, this is like 2 polarizing energies, and you'll find that with a lot of the profiles. So the 2 is like, you know, wanting to go introverted, likes your alone time, but the 4 is very social, needs their community around them. So it's about honoring both within you and knowing that they're both inherently a part of your nature. So going with what you feel in the moment. Like if you want to stay home and chill out, like honor that. If you want to be social and be a part around everyone, honor that. Because with the line 4, if you're feeling that desire to go out, that could be meaning that there's something there for you. You're going to meet somebody or an opportunity is going to come up for you. And then that's kind of how you're getting all of those opportunities coming into your life, through the people that you know. So hope that helped. Let us know if any of that resonated for you.
Oh, she already has.
Oh, awesome. There you go. Yeah, a lot of the time it's like, oh, yeah. And this is like surface level as well, like it goes so deep. I wanted to let you guys know as well that every type has what's called a signature and a not self. And this is really helpful because it can show you like where in your life you're out of alignment and off track, and where in your life things are like flowing. So if you, the signature, like as a generator, you're here to feel a deep sense of satisfaction. As a projector, you're here to feel a deep sense of success. As a manifestor, you're here to feel a deep sense of peace. And a reflector is here to be surprised by life. So if you know there's an area in your life as a generator that you're feeling satisfied, then that's like a really beautiful way to know within yourself that you're on the right path and you're in alignment. But on the other hand, the not self shows us where things might need to have a little bit of a shake-up, where you could look to change something. So the not self for a generator is frustration, and it can also show up as annoyance. So if you're feeling really frustrated, then you know, okay, that part of my life, something's not quite right there. And for a projector, it's bitterness, and it can also show up as resentment. And for a manifestor, it's anger. And then for a reflector, it's disappointment. And if you're in your not self, there's a really simple way to get back into alignment, and it's just coming back to your strategy. So responding or informing or waiting for the invitation. So if you're a projector and you're feeling bitter, that could be because you're trying to push something that you haven't been invited into. Or if you're a generator and you're feeling really frustrated or annoyed, are you trying to initiate? So it's like coming back to the present moment and going, okay, am I in alignment? What's happening? And reviewing, and then coming back to your strategy in the next moment. So it's a really helpful tool to kind of look at your life, and you can kind of journal around it as well once you find this out, and patterns will start to emerge, and then that's when you can see how you're either living your design or you're not. And from my personal experience and a lot of clients, when you're living your design, when you're living in alignment, life just flows so much more. Like you feel so much more full of joy. It's just like feels so much easier, because like if you're in your not self theme, life feels hard. You're coming up against resistance. It feels like you're swimming upstream, and it doesn't have to be that way. So it's really powerful tool.
Yeah, it is. And Liesl just said she's frustrated with things and trying to figure out what she should be doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so come back to your strategy and your authority. And I like to say, like, human design, guys, it's an experiment. So it's just like about playing with it in your life and going, oh, what if the next decision I made, I left it up to my authority, and like see what happens, see what internal shifts occur, what magic happens in your life. And know that whenever you come off track, you can always come back to your strategy and authority. Like, it's super simple. But in reality, it can sometimes be hard to wait for the invitation or sleep on the decision, because we're hardwired to live a different way. So it's just something we have to be consciously aware of, and something that we have to choose to do every single day.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right, I have a question on my chart, all right?
Yeah.
When I was looking at this on various points, where are we? There we go. So I've got all of them labelled, except this one here. What is that centre there?
The yellow one?
Yes.
Yeah, that is the G center. So that is your sense of self. It's the sense of self-love and direction. And this center has all of what's called the love gates in human design. So it communicates to us through love. And you know, when I was talking about our strategy and about how things are getting pulled to us, life is getting magnetically pulled to us, it all goes through that G center. So when you're in alignment that G center, it's like right in the center of the body graph, and it's kind of located where our physical heart is, and it's like pulling everything towards you. So if you have it defined, it means that you have like a strong sense of who you are, a strong sense of purpose and of self, and also that if you have a passion, it could potentially be aligned with your mission. And the G center, you can think of it kind of like a lighthouse, and you're shining that light for others. Like you're strong in your sense of self and purpose, and then you're shining that light for others. But everything has that low expression. So the low frequency of this is that you might know who you are, but you might fear that other people won't accept you for who you are. So you hide or you water yourself down, and you're not shining that light. But the thing is, if you have a defined center, a G center, you're here to be seen. Like that's what the world wants from you. And if you like are just 100% authentically you, then the right people will be attracted to you. So it's really about having that sense of trust. And then if you have it undefined, then that means that you're not designed to have this very strong sense of self and purpose. And it means that you can be more of a chameleon. So when you're around other people who might have that G center defined, you can adapt. So that's a gift in itself. But the low frequency of that is you might always be questioning who you are and your sense of self and your sense of self-love. So it's a very loaded center, that one. But
yes.
Yeah.
All right, so some of the circles, some of the numbers on the chart have solid circles around them and some of them don't. What does that mean?
Okay, so if it has the circle, then that means there is a gate attached to that. So can you see the lines, the black and the red lines that are flowing on the chart? So if it's circled, it will have a little line. Yeah, and then those numbers will all correspond to the gates on the side. Okay, so those there are 64 gates. They're like the 64 gates of the I Ching, and they each tell a little bit of a story about your inherent energetic gifts. And some people like to see it as like the lessons that you're also meant to learn in this lifetime, because it's all about what is your soul here to do? What is your soul here to learn in this lifetime? And if it's a red gate, then that's something that's inherent within you, but you might not see it. And if it's on the personality side, then that's something that you're consciously aware of. And just on that, the one that has like the biggest dominance in your chart is your sun gate on your conscious personality side. So whatever this one is here, the top one, so for you, that is gate 53.
Yep.
Which is the gate of new beginnings. So that means you're really, really great at getting things started and helping other people get things started. You've got that momentum within you. And that's like essentially your biggest superpower, because a lot of the energy that came through at the time you were born, it makes up like 70% of those neutrinos that came through your chart. So that's like a real strength of yours. And the sun energy, the sun gate, is what you're here to express or do. So I can see that a lot in you, Eileen, the being really great at getting things started and helping people get things started too.
It's really funny actually, because in the last couple of weeks I've had a few people contact me for readings and it's turned into a bit of a coaching session, but the result of that is these few people have then gone and done more stuff on their own businesses and stuff and got them motivated to do things. So that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, beautiful.
That, and I rant at people during readings.
Sorry?
That, and I rant at people during readings. Yeah.
The tough love.
Yeah, that's what we call it. No, that's really cool. That makes a lot of sense.
So, like with the centers, you can think of anything that is not colored in, anything that is open. That is where you are here to learn all your lessons. That's here where you're meant to be wise. Because you don't have consistent energy in that, you can take in all different kinds of energies and learn from that. But the flip side is you can take in a lot of energy and get caught up in that. So there's something to really be mindful of. Whereas anything that's defined, that's where you've got consistent energy, and that's where your strengths lie a lot of the time. So, you know, for you, you have the spleen defined. That's the center of intuition and instinct. So, of course, like you're super intuitive. So,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then another part of your chart, Eileen, is you have the root center defined at the bottom, and that is the center of pressure and adrenaline and of getting things done. So if you have the root pressure defined, it means that you might be someone who thrives off like a pressure situation, like working right at the end of a deadline, and you have this ability to be able to be really grounded and calm in stressful situations. Something landing for you.
Yep. When we organise fairs, like my Campbelltown fair last year was organised in 6 weeks. Because partially I got sick and was in hospital, and half of the organisation for that fair was done while I was in hospital, and then the rest of it was done after that in the 6 weeks leading up to it, like literally me calling going, yep, was that good? Good. Done. It frustrates my husband that I leave things until the last minute.
Look, I do the same, but once I discovered this about myself as well, it was like, oh, okay, well, I thrive off deadlines, so it's okay. I know that that's where the magic happens, because you've got all that pressure coming from that center and that energy. So in a lot of the cases, a lot of the time, it's actually you've got to wait for that pressure to build, and then you get that momentum.
Exactly.
But people who don't have a defined root center, if theirs is open, then they might constantly feel this pressure to do something, but it's not building because they don't have this defined, like consistent energy from the defined center. So then they're always feeling like they've got to go, and then they can burn out. So it's something to be mindful. If you have an open root, like you might never feel like you've always got it done. So just kind of making sure you rest and just like having really strong boundaries around doing things and around work, and just being mindful that that pressure is going to be there, but it's okay.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. The centers are interesting. The other one that I want to mention is the open head, so the open crown right at the top. So only 30% of the population have a defined head. So that means that the thoughts that are coming in are theirs, and they're able to consistently think about things that are important to them, that matter to them, and they are getting inspiration from the inside. Whereas there's 70% of us, we're taking in that energy from the 30%. So I have an undefined head as well, Eileen. And so that means that we're getting our inspiration from the outside. So if you're in a busy place, you might be getting hit with all these ideas. And what that could look like is you have all these ideas, but you don't know which one to act on. So then you get like that shiny object syndrome. You're like, well, this, or this, or this. Or feel like you're never following through on things, or you're procrastinating. But in truth, you're meant to have the ideas, but you're not meant to act on all of them. So this is another pressure center, the head and the root. They're both the pressure systems, and the energy is coming in from the top and in from the bottom and causing all this pressure. So this is mental pressure. So your head could also be filled with all these questions, all these ideas, if it's undefined. And the high expression of this is going, well, I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to act on all my ideas. And taking that pressure off yourself can be so good when you find that out, because otherwise you're like, oh, why have I got all these ideas and I'm not doing anything with them? And just like going, oh, okay, I'm just going to act on the ones that my authority says that I should.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions? And was there anything else you wanted to talk about? I wasn't at all pointing to my chart then.
I think we've gone over most of the things that I wanted to talk about. I think just want to really reiterate, just knowing those 3 things when you're getting started is the most important. And then just like treating it as fun, like treat it as play, like it's an experiment. You can have fun with it in your life, and don't box yourself in. Like, use it as a tool, but also if you're feeling in flow, then start learning more, because once you start applying this to your life, it can really transform how you feel about yourself, which is really, that's how you can step into your power, because there's nothing more freeing than being allowed to be yourself. Like, we live in this world that tells us who to be and how to be, but this is all about coming back to your truth, your true self, like how you're designed to be. And when you operate from that space, life is magical. And then not only that, if more people are operating from that place, imagine what kind of world we would have when everyone is happy and operating from their truth. Like, yeah, it's amazing.
That's Leslie has put up the incarnation cross, right angle, cross
Yes.
of Eden. What does that mean?
So the incarnation cross, there's actually 192 variations of them. So I don't know that one off the top of my head, but I can message you, Leslie. I'll check it. But the incarnation cross is based on, so we were talking about the sun gate before on your personality side. This is based on the 2 suns and the 2 earth signs. And where those 4 things were, those 4 points like a cross at the time of your soul's birth. And the incarnation cross is like, you can think of it as like your life purpose or your life's theme. So it's like a theme that's going to play out in your life. It's what your soul is here to do and here to learn. So it's another really interesting part of it. But there's 192 variations, and then there's even more intricacies from that, depending on what the line is in that. So that part is quite in depth, but I can give you a little overview after this. So I'll come back to that message.
That's all good. Now, tell me, what were you, because when we chatted before, what were you talking about with if people want to come to you for a reading?
Oh, yeah. So if you want to book in a reading, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook or email me. I'll put the details. But if you just write Love Angels Light when you're booking the reading, then I'll take $10 off any of the readings.
So if you're interested in having a reading done, that's very, very generously offering you guys a discount. So
yeah,
get it.
And
I've actually linked your page, tagged your page at the top of this video.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I do 2 different types of readings. So if you just want to know the basics of your chart, like just your energy type, strategy, authority, and profile, then I have that kind of more mini reading, or I have another reading which is more in depth for discover your superpowers. And that's when we look at your gates and your channels and your centers and the incarnation cross. So you can kind of like dip your toe into the world of human design, or you can like dive straight in and like learn everything. So it's really up to you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time and your energy and telling us all this fascinating stuff.
Oh, you're so welcome. I've had so much fun. Thank you so much, everyone, for your comments. I'm excited for you all to find out your energy type and start this journey.
Yes, that's really exciting. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I would love to tell you guys who I'm having on next week, but my calendar's buried under tax paperwork, because my response when I had to do tax paperwork today was, oh, so I didn't do too much of it.
Such a gender. Well, that means it's not the right time for you to do it yet. You
That's
do it
right.
when you have the energy. You'll feel way better.
All right. Have a good weekend, guys. I will see you all back here Monday morning, hopefully. Other than that, Nat, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate having you on.
Thank you so much. Bye.
All right. I'll catch you guys later.